TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Hello, hello.
This week we'll talk about the State of Israel versus the Israeli Supreme Court and the differences between this issue here in Israel and in the U.S. And we will also talk about the change that we can easily say it can be felt here since Netanyahu is back as Prime Minister. But first, let's say thank you. Thank you for everything you guys are doing. It really is such a blessing. You know, you guys watch these clips that we do every week of taking the food to the people, and these precious people who are in such bad need, and it's such a gift to be able to be the person to give to them, but because of you guys, and be able to tell them it's from believers around the world. It really is. It's hard to put in words. It's such a great thing that you guys are doing here, allowing us to be the people who do your work for you by sending your support. And like we always say, if you haven't yet and you want to, all you have to do to be a part of this is go below any of the videos on our YouTube channel, and there's links to the Patreon page, and there are links to the Support Us page on the website. Or you can just go to the website at thegoldenreport.com and go to the Support Us page there and find any way that's best for you. So thank you guys so much. It is such a blessing, and it's such a beautiful thing that we're doing here together. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's such a blessing, of course, to the people that you're helping. But it is just such a blessing to us, and I'm sure to yourself, just as God said, you know, He'd bless those that bless Israel. So I'm sure you're getting your blessings out of it too. It's just so beautiful. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, I guess we get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
At the beginning of the week, a terrorist that murdered an Israeli IDF soldier was released from prison after his sentence was finished. A welcoming committee was waiting for him in his village in Israel with cheers of his heroism. He made a statement on the Arab TV station threatening Ben-Gvir and his plans of the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
For the Temple Mount.
Yeah, exactly. It was a strange thing. First of all, he was just released out of prison for killing a soldier, by the way, an IDF soldier, for making a terrorist attack to kill an IDF soldier. Then when he's released in his sentence, it's just hard to talk about. But when he finally comes home, he's being cheered upon. Everyone loves him and he acts like he's a hero. And it really is something. You can't get your mind around it. How bad it is. And then because of Ben-Gvir, like we talk about this guy Ben-Gvir, from the beginning we said, keep your eyes on this guy. Because of his moving towards the Temple Mount, he decided to put a threat in there about that.
Yeah.
He's just out of prison from a terrorist attack, and he's talking about terrorist activity.
Prison's supposed to change you. Or
rehabilitate.
Yeah. That's why, again, I'm talking pro-death penalty for those people. You cannot change their hate for us. And it's not, he out of prison and he starts threatening right away. Yeah. Making threats.
Yeah, right away. Well, Abu Mazen, the head of the Palestinian Authority, he was there, by the way, as well, during his celebrations of the released terrorist, that he will continue the actions against Israel in the IJC, the International Justice Court, or the World Court of the UN. Israel responded by saying that this is a dangerous road he is choosing to go down. It will put us in a position where we will have to act with at least sanctions on the Palestinians, which in turn will put us on a path towards a large clash between the Arabs and Israel and the IDF. And that's just so true. That is exactly what will happen, because we talked about it last week about the Abu Mazens and the Palestinians suing Israel, and also getting a motion passed in the UN basically calling Israel an illegal state of occupation.
Yeah.
So it really is something, it's just everywhere you look, news these days in Israel, in America, all in Europe, and everywhere in the world, everything is just going completely crazy.
Yeah.
Well, for a while now, Israel has been torn over a similar issue as the U.S. with the Supreme Court. The difference between what is going on in the U.S. and Israel is here in Israel, it's the right wing that is trying to take away some of the control of the Supreme Court has. Netanyahu has been staying out of this issue, seeing how he is still in his own court procedures, and it wouldn't come across well if at this time he would attack the system. It wouldn't come right.
Yeah.
The two main issues that the right wing is trying to deal with are the transparency of new judges being appointed and the stopping of Supreme Court from making their own laws or legislation. That's the two main issues that's going on here in Israel. First of all, it's not like in America where it's very transparent how they appoint the judges. And, and it's, Ola thinks, go ahead and tell what you think.
No, it's too radical, I think. Well, the Supreme Court done so much damage to this country, in my opinion, and they have no restriction at all, no a superior somebody who how you say
no one that governs their decisions.
Exactly. And there's no way somebody can do that. So of course we don't want the left wing, by the way, take it like crazy out of the proportion and talking about the non-democratic country and everything,
right.
Like ruin of democracy.
Well, of course the left wing takes everything out of proportion.
We'll talk about it a little later, yeah. But it's not this. It's not that. I think it's a good thing that's happening. We have to, because lately people don't trust the court because
yes.
of many bad things happen and unhonesty and different shady things that happen. So I think it's a good thing. Let's say that.
Well, I think there should be some changes. I just don't think they should completely cripple the power of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court's important to have in a country.
Yeah,
it's part of democracy. It's part of being a country. Well, the Supreme Court is supposed to deal with human rights issues and stuff like that, and in most cases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's see what else we got.
Yeah, Ben-Gvir again is not resting. Now he is going to make a new law allowing Israel police officers to take down and take away Palestinian flags on Israeli soil.
Great.
This is This is a flag they used to show support for terrorists and the killing of Jews. This is the first time I have ever heard anyone in the government speak about this ridiculous reality we have been living in, where terrorists have been able to freely fly their flags in our country. Just like on boats in that cell, in the sea, it is illegal to fly a pirate flag, seeing how it represents a criminal organization.
Yeah, it's the same principle. Exactly. Great example. It's the same exact principle. Just like you're not allowed like you said, to fly a pirate's flag at sea, because then it looks like you're a pirate, which is an illegal thing to be. But it is the first time we've ever heard anyone talk about it. It's been just Ben-Gvir. He's doing some things.
Yeah.
And actually, Ben-Gvir right now, last I heard, is his recent upcomings is he's going to stay in the Negev. He lives in Hebron, by the way, him and his family. But he's going to stay in the Negev, and he said he's going to stay there until he figures out some way we can help start changing and making the Negev safe again.
Yeah.
We talked about how the Negev is going crazy with the Arabs down there driving people off the roads, and it's like the Wild West when you go driving.
We didn't even scratch the surface when we talk about it. We just tell you few things, but what's going on every day, people driving their families and they've been injured and suffer from this crazy criminal activity, and drivers and people just going and shooting in the middle of the day. No, they don't afraid.
They're not afraid of authority or anything.
Nothing.
And so Ben-Gvir is also doing that, but also this thing he's like what you was talking about, the Palestinian flag, right? I can't, these last couple of weeks, every time I watch the news, it's like I'm shocked. I got used to the regular ridiculous nonsense. But now all of a sudden things seems to be turning in a good direction. See, people are making some right decisions, right? It's
I told you should vote. You should vote for him.
yeah. Well, like I said, it would. I wanted him to get some votes. I just didn't want him to get too many because I think he's a little bit too far and could take us down a path and get a little dangerous real quick for the state of Israel. You got to have someone that's a little bit more, tactician, someone who plays a better game of chess and not checkers, right?
Exactly.
So that was just all I had. My thing was about it, but it really is an amazing stuff that he's doing time after time. Well, the latest news in Netanyahu's court proceedings is getting to be like watching a comedy show. There were 3 of his drivers that spoke out against him, so he decided that they're not trustworthy anymore, so he fired them, which makes sense to me. This has caused the media to attack Netanyahu as if he's doing something wrong. While one of the police investigators, this is going on at the same time, came out and stated that she purposely tried to get witnesses to say what she wanted them to be able to charge Netanyahu.
By the way, they've been back on work. The police forced Netanyahu, give them now they're back. They're back to drive.
Oh, so the country made Netanyahu
they put them back
take back drivers
Yes.
and drive for him, people that prove that are backstabbers and people who are trying to lie and get him in prison. That's wonderful. That makes a lot of sense. Poor Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Well, drivers, they hear everything. Probably the driver of a prime minister knows more than probably the prime minister's advisors. In the car, he hears every conversation, who he's talking to, what he's saying, when he's saying it, where he's going. Yeah. So it's very touchy job that someone has to be very trustworthy.
Yes.
The car, the prime minister car here in Israel is not like the car of the president, where it's all the driver's blocked, separated, and it's in a tank. It's just a basically regular car that's bulletproof, but it's a back seat, front seat. That's it. Regular 4-door car.
Yeah.
Right? Well, former Prime Minister Lapid is continuing to call for his followers to ignore the laws passed by this new coalition of Netanyahu's and is causing the left-wing activists to begin acting out in the streets. Now, members of the coalition are asking to have Lapid arrested for causing anarchy in the country. And now it wasn't Netanyahu; it's members in the coalition. And it's true, he is causing anarchy. He is telling people flat out, do not follow the laws of this government. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't say stuff like that. That's it should
treason.
be illegal.
It's treason.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
Treason. Yeah. Well, usually we don't talk about what's happening in other countries on TGR News, since we are putting out the news from Israel. But the following is directly connected to the future of Israel, the Jewish state. In Italy now, there is a growing group of activists that are bringing back the ideology of Mussolini. Maloney, the politician that is heading up this new movement, is able to get the people to bring back the swastika and Nazi symbolism. Anyone that is not seeing the rise of anti-Semitism, just like in the days before the Second World War, is just not looking.
Yeah,
it's blind.
Yeah. Anti-Semitism is.
Now she's
used to say, go ahead. Sorry.
She's claiming that she's not connected to her past. It was in her past, and now she's a different person. But you can tell.
But they're bringing back the swastika. Now you're putting it on their apparel and stuff. Yes. But she's not connected. Yes. And they're doing the same, Heil Hitler thing. And
it's scary. It
really is scary. We've talked about it many times about the boat part of the ministry. When things get bad for the Jews around the world, and we'll have to start bringing them back home and doing it by boat because it probably won't be too easy to get a plane ride, right? Well, we used to always say that in the last few years that the anti-Semitism in Europe, especially, but all over the world, is at the same level as it was before World War II and before Hitler started throwing Jews in gas chambers, right? Well, we can't say that anymore. because it's not a true statement anymore. It's not the same as it was right before World War II. It's more now than it was before World War II.
Yep.
It really is. I mean, any Jew watching this and doesn't get a first plane ticket coming back home to Israel, I don't know. I can't understand them.
Yeah.
And for many reasons, not just because of anti-Semitism, but also it's because God commanded you. You know, this is the promised land. He didn't tell you, come be here if you like.
Yeah.
I promise you this
Yeah.
land if you would like to have it.
Yeah. And we have many problems in this country.
And we need more Jews to make us stronger and be able to.
We have to be here.
Yeah, we have to all be here. Well, going down the wrong, chasing rabbits here. On Wednesday night, Netanyahu held a press conference to address the nation. In his speech, he talked about how drastically the price of living has gone up in the past 1.5 years. Wonder what's happened in the past 1.5 years. He's taking the first step by getting the prices of fuel, electricity, water, and property taxes to go down. Once this takes effect, it will help to stop the inflation of the other costs of living. He went on to say this is just the first step with more to come to try and get the wheel of inflation to start turning back. You know.
Yeah, you know what the lefty party says. Oh, it's just a little drop in the ocean, but it's something.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what they did when they the last year and a half, where only things went up. I mean, the amount in the past year and a half that everything went up under their watch is crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, insane. Anyone who had money a year and a half ago should have bought property in the state of Israel, because in a year and a half you would have made 20%.
Yes.
That's insane. 20%. The price of house has gone up in 1 year and a half. Yeah. While we are talking about the good things this government is doing in the first days of being at the helm, I would like to make a point to say that this week we haven't had any terrorist attacks in our city streets. I can't remember the last time we went so long without reporting on some terrorist activity on the streets of our cities. Just another good outcome of having the right man for the right job. Now, I'm not saying that we won't have any more terrorist attacks. Of course not. That'd be ridiculous. But I am saying that the everyday feeling of being safe has gotten better since Netanyahu's been back. You know, we've had things happen, and we'll talk about we always talk about everything. And like we talked about earlier, the problem with the Arabs in the Negev, it still hasn't gone away. We have a lot of problems that we have to deal with. We always had to deal with, and we probably always will have to deal with.
Yeah.
But there is a huge difference in the way you feel. You know. By the way, we have another video coming this week.
Yeah.
We went to Akko. Akko is a half and half Arab Jewish area. I'll be 100% honest with you. You know, I'm in the military. I do what I do. And I don't have a problem going a lot of places and doing a lot of things. But we put this video off for a while because of how everything was so crazy. I mean, just a few weeks ago, Arab from Akko tried to put a bomb on the train tracks to blow up a train full of Jews. I mean, but now we went because of the feeling. You feel like things have been someone's back on the helm, back in control.
Yeah.
You know?
There's something about those terrorist organizations' mentality that they cowards. They're just cowards. And if somebody in this country they're strong enough and they feel okay, he's strong, so they will be more quiet. It's same like Hezbollah, you know, Nasrallah. He just threatened from his bunker all the time.
From the bunker,
so
everyone makes a joke about it.
Yeah, from his bunker.
He always threatens, and he's always from his bunker.
So yeah. So it's the same. And last government was very weak, and they felt it. So they raised their head, and they did many things.
Well, like I said, it doesn't mean that we're over. No more terrorist attacks. And to be honest, I think it's going to get much worse than it even was a year and a half ago.
Maybe.
Especially when, I'm going to say his name again, Ben Gvir. Especially when Ben Gvir starts making more and more steps towards the Temple Mount, allowing Jews to pray on the Temple Mount and getting us back onto the Temple Mount as Jews, us as Jews, back to the Temple Mount. I'm 100% sure things are going to go absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But we'll get through it. And if they let him do his job, he'll get it quiet again with us back on the Temple Mount.
Yeah. In this past week, a very dangerous movement has been building in the country. Instead of seeing all the good that this right-wing government is doing, the left-wing politicians like former Prime Minister Lapid are now calling the public to rise up against the government and not to follow the laws that they pass. It is causing large numbers of left-wing protesters to gather and begin to get more and more violent. As we said before, and it's not only Lapid. Benny Gantz talked in few days, he said like, rise up and shake the country and go out, and it's like a civil war if you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like he really
he's making comments that he's telling on live TV, right? He's coming on TV and making comments to the public. He's to his followers, people who are listening to him. Comments like, what the government's doing now is destroying the democracy, and if you don't get up and act out, physically act out against this government, then you'll lose democracy and they'll take over. And he's calling it today on the news. I heard the left-wing politicians say it's no longer. This was his terminology. It's no longer in politics in Israel, left-wing or right-wing. It's democracy and dictatorship.
Exactly.
That's what they're trying to get people to think, that the right wing is dictatorship and we got to get him out.
Yeah.
He's passing the line, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As we talked about earlier, we haven't had any terrorist attacks in our cities this week, thank God. But a terrorist trying to destroy our agriculture fields at a farmer's land stabbed the farmer while caught in the act of destroying the crops. The worker that worked at the farm was armed and was able to shoot and stop the terrorist. So, like we said, it hasn't been. I wanted to let you know that terrorist activity still exists. We're just talking about how it's a big change than what it has been.
Yeah.
On the news this week, they talked about how the poverty is rising in the state of Israel. Now we have over 2 million living in Israel under the poverty line. Now, when I say under the poverty line, I mean really, these are people that need our help. Okay, and don't forget, 2 million. There's only 9.5 million that live here. That's including children and old people and everything, right?
200,000 old people. I know they talked about the numbers.
So this is a big deal. This is the highest it has ever been here. It is so important what we are doing here together with you guys. It is God's work in God's land. We know that the Lord promised us that He will bless those that bless Israel and curse those that curse Israel. This
is why it's so important.
This is such a big deal. This is such a big deal. Here, obviously, for us and for you guys who are allowing us to be your servants, to feed the people here by sending your support, to feed the people here in Israel. Yeah. It is such an important issue for us all. We should, you're doing God's work when you're helping your fellows, your fellow neighbors. You're doing God's work, and especially when you're doing it in Israel, where God said He'd always be here, keep His presence here at the wall, at the Temple Mount, and this is really something special we're doing together.
Please share this video with your community, churches, and family, whoever you think may be interested in watching our channel. That will be a great help for those people who really in need. They really need us to help them. So that's important. Just share it, and
absolutely.
This will help a lot.
Well, you got this next video coming out of Akko. We got my mother and father's birthdays coming up.
Oh yeah, we have to buy some.
We have to do something for them.
Yeah.
We have to do something for them. And you have anything else you want to add?
I think I spoke too much today.
Is that a trick question? Say nothing?
No.
Okay. Well, don't forget to join us on thegoldenreport.com. And until next week.
Shabbat Shalom.
God bless.